So we're taking a jump from narrative over to competitive. And in this Wargaming vlog, we're going to explore the tactica of the unlock. What does this mean? How can we utilize it? And either facing it or using it, how do we incorporate it into one of the games that we're playing? Now, I'm not talking about any specific system, but just to kind of framework this, often what we're going to see is you've got your wargaming system, whatever that's going to be, X-Wing miniatures, Warhammer 40K, and then you have various armies, armadas, factions that you can play. And what you see is not only rules updates over time, but also updates to your faction, new units, new rules, a new book, a new list. And there's kind of this balance back and forth. As a game system moves on, factions or armies that are not updated, they tend to fall behind a little bit. They don't have the latest or greatest. They don't have some units that have been introduced. They start to lag or lack power. But then they get a new release. And of course, miniature wargaming systems, being miniature wargaming systems out there to sell miniatures, often what you're going to see is when something is refreshed, they're going to have the latest and greatest. There's going to be some new models. They're going to take advantage of the newest rules. They're going to be a little bit over the top, overpowered, because you want people to go out and buy them. So there's this idea of the unlock. Now I'm going to framework that with an example. I was playing Warhammer 40K very competitively at the time. I was playing my Necrons. And this was at the time when Games Workshop was not really regularly updating their army books. I mean, Space Marines always got updates. Other core books got updates. But some of the more fringe army elements at the time, like Necrons, the book was maybe 4 years old. I mean, it really was underpowered. Space Wolves had just gotten a new codex. They just got a new book. And this was a huge deal at the time. Space Wolves had not been updated in probably 6 years or so. This was the Ward Dex. He's a writer who just makes everything super overpowered. So you went from nobody playing Space Wolves in the 40K meta because they were unplayable. Games Workshop just dropped all support, to now new miniatures, new models, and this was the Las Plaz Razorback stuff and just crazy stuff that no one had ever seen before in this book. So it had dropped, and maybe like 2 or 3 weeks later, at the tournament scene, everyone is playing Space Wolves. Everyone, out of a 2-day tournament, 3 games one day, 2 games the next, 80% of the army was Space Wolves, ready to go. Well, I'm playing my Necrons, and the matchups I had against Space Wolves, I obliterated them. It was insane. Yes, I was a good Necron player at the time. Yes, I had within the decks. Yes, I had some good tactics. Yes, I had a little bit of luck. But I was amazed at how easy it was to just blow apart the Space Wolf players. And what I realized was about a month later, going to another tournament, again, everyone playing Space Wolves. Space Wolves dominated the scene. They destroyed everybody. They destroyed me with my Krons. They destroyed other Space Marine chapters with the traits, just blew everything apart. What changed? What changed within a month or less than a month? The unlock had changed. What was going on originally was the book just dropped out of nowhere. Because again, Games Workshop really doesn't give you any previews or tell you things, certainly not back then. So they dropped, and you had Space Wolf players, you had new players, you had interested players just trying to figure the book out, how to play it. They got destroyed. Well, now a month later, after playing games and being on various forums, Bolter and Chainsword and things like that, and some YouTube videos, the book was quickly distilled down to, here are the units worth playing. Don't bother taking anything else whatsoever. Spam this out, copy and paste, and you'll destroy. Because they had unlocked within that, based on the rules, what is the best to play. So we see this whenever a new army or faction drops. There is an unlock period where from when it is officially released, it's going to take a little bit of time for things to shake out on the tournament scene to really have the most efficient army, armada, battle force, whatever it's going to be. Because what that unlock means is people are looking at the units, the cost of the units, the numbers that you can take. They're looking at the tournament format. They're looking at the rules themselves, what it supports, and the top tier list comes through. Now that unlock has been accelerated massively, not only as Wargaming has grown in popularity, but Facebook groups, YouTube channels, forums, other ways of finding out Tactica. What might have taken maybe a month or 2 or 3 months is now maybe within a week of something new dropping, you see that new meta. So how does this work, the unlock work within the framework of you playing competitively? If a new army is dropped and that is an army that you're playing, right? It's a faction you're playing and now you get a new set of rules. You get a new army book. You get new updates. You need to be working on that unlock. You need to get in there and figure out, assisted by the internet, YouTube and forums and things like that, what is going to be the most optimal builds. And then you have a decision, and can you do it in time, to upgrade your lists and upgrade your model count, your miniatures, to bring them into a tournament scene. So taking advantage of that unlock. Second to that, if you're not playing that army, you will be playing against that army. So you need to look going into a tournament competitive type scenario. Are there new releases? Are there new factions that you might face? And research what is the unlock, because you're going to find out very, very fast with this unlock curve being brought down. This is the list you're going to face. Like 99% of the games, this is the most powerful, broken, just meta list. That is what you're going to face. You need to know that, so this way you can begin asking the questions based on the list you're playing. What are my counters? How am I going to stand up to it? What am I going to do? How is this going to play? This idea of the unlock and understanding when something new is released, it takes a little bit of time, but you want to be plugged into that, whether you play it or not, because once it is unlocked, everyone is going to be using it, and either you're going to be using it and need a counter to the counter, or if you're fighting against it, you're going to need some counters against it.